Wednesday, June 5th, here on the Just Baseball Show. You got Jack McMullen and I am Peter Apple. And in this episode, Walker Buehler makes his return to the Just Baseball Show. On the tail end of this episode, we talk about his first couple of starts, as well as do a video breakdown of his recent start where he went 6 shutty against the Cincinnati Reds. So for all those listening on audio, if you want to go over to the YouTube page, hit that subscribe button, by the way, and watch that video breakdown. Jack and I highly recommend it. But we got a few topics that we're going to get into before we get to the interview with Walker Buehler. We got to talk about the gambling scandal. You and Aram broke down Tucupita Marcano. I said that correctly, right?
Yeah.
What a name. Tucupita Marcano. Talked about him in a little bit yesterday, but now we have more information about his betting style. And then we also have 4 other players who received year-long bans. We also got an update on Shohei Ohtani's gambling scandal about he was exonerated. So we're going to talk about that. And it's Christmas morning for Marlins fans as Avisail Garcia is DFA'd. We're going to break that down as well. You got something to say?
Please save us from the BetMGM read. And of course, all of the gambling scandal conversation is brought to you by the fine folks at BetMGM.
The gambling scandal is brought to you by the fine folks at BetMGM. Make sure to use our code. No, make sure to use our code. But, it's not in good taste.
Aram highlighted the irony behind it. And it's not lost on anyone that this show is brought to you by BetMGM. But the thing is, it's not in our contracts with Just Baseball to not bet on baseball. You do it, and Aram does it. I don't. I've been very clear about that, because it's in another contract that I signed to not do that. So just know it's not lost on us. And we see the jokes, and we see Foolish had a hilarious tweet about that too. But man, it sucks when somebody breaches their contract by doing something that has been deemed illegal by their employer.
And this is exactly what happened. So MLB announced, and this is from Mark Feinsand, who covers Major League Baseball for MLB.com. He does an amazing job. MLB announced the following suspensions for unrelated violations of MLB's sports betting policy. Already talked about Padres infielder/outfielder Tucupita Marcano, permanently ineligible. A's right-hander Michael Kelly, 1-year suspension. Jay Groom, who's with the Padres in their minor leagues. Jose Rodriguez, an infielder in the Phillies minor league system, and Andrew Saalfrank, lefty for the D-backs. We saw him in the World Series last year. He also received a 1-year ban. And I think it's important to distinguish, why did Marcano get permanently banned, and why did the 4 others only get a year ban? Well, Marcano, he bet on baseball, but he bet on Pirates games, which is immediately going to get you a permanent ban. And here are the stats from Marcano. 231 bets on baseball. Baseball bets totaling $87,319. But he bet more than $150,000 on total. 87,000 of that on MLB-related bets. An average of approximately $378 per bet. And he made 25 of those when he was a Pirates player. So he was directly betting on those games. And he won 4.3% of the time.
Yeah, a lot of parlays. I'm sure it was a lot of parlays.
It's so hard not to make a joke. It's so hard.
It's really hard.
I feel bad, but he dug his own grave with this one.
I think it was Nugget Chef that tweeted out that his win rate was lower than his career walk rate, which is also under 5%. It's a really toughie. And we're not talking about an all-star. We're talking about Tucupita Marcano. He did not bet on a Pirates game when he was in the lineup. He tore his ACL, I think, so he was out for the overwhelming majority of last year. But he would be betting on Pirates games when he was in the clubhouse getting his rehab done. Again, I brought this up. How dumb can we get? Again, the all-time hit king isn't in the Hall of Fame, and he got a permanent ban from baseball for doing the thing that you are doing right now. Just try not to do that. The other thing, it was on a legal book. So it was on, not illegal, it was on a legal book. So he registered on an MGM or a DraftKings or a FanDuel, something like that. How do you not think you're going to get tracked on this stuff?
It's frankly unbelievable.
It's
And
unbelievable.
I'm glad you brought it up about it being a legal bookmaker, because we're going to talk about Ohtani in a second, and with Ipe and that whole thing was an illegal bookmaker. And it's much harder for MLB and in some points when it gets to the FBI to do a full investigation and find all the data, because it's in the underground of the betting world. Like just, a decade ago, or even as soon as 5 years ago, gambling wasn't legal. So these books have all the information on these guys who are betting legally. That's why we are seeing more suspensions. You cannot tell me that now that betting is legal, all of these guys are starting to do it. I think it's now much easier to catch them because a lot of them are doing it on these legal books. That's why when you say how stupid can you be, you're 100% right. Like, I'm never going to name names, and I don't know any names who are currently doing this, but I can assume that baseball players, and it's not just baseball, it's in all sports, that they're all betting. Not all of them, of course, but that more people that have been caught are doing this. So people are trashing, right? When we made the joke of, we know that this is sponsored by BetMGM, right? It's not lost on us. And people are then blaming legalized gambling for all of this, that it's giving these guys a lane, when in reality, I think it's making it easier for Major League Baseball to catch these guys. These are not going to be the last suspensions we hear of. And there are probably going to be more players that they find that end up betting on their own team and get more permanent bans. I think we're just starting to see them unravel as gambling becomes legalized and we have more data on these guys.
The whole point of being a professional athlete is discipline and restraint in the right areas of your life. How are you not disciplined enough to not bet on your own baseball team when it's very clearly illegal? And, Jonte Porter just got lifetime ban from the NBA, right? For betting on his own props. I didn't see if he took over all the time, but if he took under on any of his props, I would be that would be an all-time sell job. I don't know the intricacies of the Jonte Porter thing, but it's not illegal to place non-baseball bets if you are a baseball player on a legal sports book. It's fine. If a Major League Baseball player hopped on BetMGM and bet on the NFL slate, that's okay. There are no repercussions for that. If they hop on BetMGM and bet on Major League Baseball, there are repercussions for that, and it is a year suspension. And if you bet on your team, it is a lifetime suspension. And that is something that is not an unspoken rule. It's in your contract. It's something that every baseball player knows, and it takes, I think, a next level of, I don't want to be mean. It takes a next level of, irreverence to the rules. I think irreverence is the right word to, breach that.
Yeah. Let's talk about some good news. Shohei Ohtani. And this is, and I quote from Alden Gonzalez. Based on the thoroughness of this federal investigation that was made public, the information MLB collected, and the criminal proceeding being resolved without being contested, MLB considers Shohei Ohtani a victim of fraud, and this matter has been closed. Ipe Mizuhara pled guilty to bank and tax fraud charges during a change of plea hearing in federal court this morning. Again, from Alden Gonzalez, total maximum sentence is 33 years. Sentencing is set for October 25th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard. Damn. Well, luckily, Shohei Ohtani, and for all those conspiracy theorists out there, I don't know what you want. Major League Baseball did an investigation. The FBI did an investigation. And do you think that Major League Baseball and the United States government is working in a colossal cover-up to help Ohtani? Do you think the United States government gives a shit? No. I personally believe what the FBI put in front of us. These were the details. He's exonerated, and I think that we can move past it. I understand if you think it's fishy. I get it, especially with all this coming up, the interpreter stuff. I agree. It can look a little muddy. But in my opinion, I'm trusting the word of the Federal Bureau of Investigation because they don't have a dog in this fight. So what's their motivation to save Shohei Ohtani? Because it doesn't make any sense to me that they would do that. So I'm trusting the word of the FBI, and it's good to see Shohei Ohtani put this behind him. And it's not like it's interrupted his play on the field. He's arguably the best hitter in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, no, he's fine. I think this is, great that he's like officially we're cut and dry. He's a victim of fraud, and we can be done with the Ohtani bets jokes. And like those aren't that fun when it's Babe Ruth that we're talking about. I will say, and the fact that we're still seeing him like is kind of ridiculous. And hopefully we don't see any more of these in July. If I see one in July, like I might just start replying like beating a dead horse. This is bad.
Let's move on to
I'm glad that we
Avisail.
can put it to bed.
Yeah, let's put it to bed. And then we also got Avisail Garcia. And I wanted to read this because I think it's important because, I have some stats that detail Avisail Garcia, how bad he's been with the Marlins. He just got DFA'd. And the Marlins are going to eat a lot of that money. But this is from Daniel Alvarez Montes, who I think does such a phenomenal job covering Major League Baseball. Avisail has been a consummate professional during his time with the Marlins, said Peter Bendix, who's the Marlins president of baseball ops. He was always working hard and was a great teammate along the way. We wish him and his family the best. From reports, at least reading it, right, I'm excited to talk to Aram and get his take, but it does seem like he's a stand-up guy. There was no problems with him personally, but unfortunately, just on the field, he was a complete disaster for the Miami Marlins. Yeah. He put up a 61 WRC plus with the Marlins in 135 games from 2022 to 2024. Among hitters since 2022, that's the tied for 7th worst mark in WRC plus. And among these 10 names, he has the 2nd lowest FWAR, only to Martin Maldonado. Oof. So you can make the argument that over the last 2 1/4 seasons, he's been the worst player in Major League Baseball from an offensive perspective, from a defensive perspective, from everything on the field. It has been a disaster after putting up decent numbers for the Brewers. Like, if you're a Marlins fan, I don't know if you can fully blame the front office for this. You can say, well, we paid him too much money. But I don't think anybody on earth, even if you were the biggest Avisail Garcia hater in the world, you didn't expect him to be arguably the worst player in Major League Baseball during his time in Miami.
No, man, he had an 820 OPS. He had 29 homers in 2021. I think White Sox fans would tell you that they're watching the worst player in baseball in that time frame because he does have the lowest F4 in that time frame. But what I will say is Maldonado has been not only available, but he was on a winner. I'm not necessarily buying like the intangibles thing that we've talked about with Maldonado. I buy that there's some of that there. I don't buy that he was
Look at what the Astros did with Maldonado and look at them now.
And look at what I'm now. Yeah, so I'm actually going to chalk that one up as coincidence, but like I think that they would have a better year.
Back. Can you imagine though they trade like Bregman for Maldonado?
That'd be dude. Give me Loperfido for Martin Maldonado. Loperfido to the south side. I think that Maldonado, like, he's just been available. And, like, obviously that will hurt your WAR if you're a net negative player, if you're available, but availability, I think, is a positive thing. And Avi has been not only bad, he's been unavailable. He played 98 games with a possible 162 in 2022. He played 37 games last year, and he's played 18 of an available 60-ish in Major League Baseball in 2024. So he hasn't been on the field, and when he's been on the field, he's been that much of a detractor that he is 2nd lowest WAR since the start of the 2022 season. So it's a combination of unavailability and a lack of success that has resulted in all of this.
I also want to be clear. I was talking about he has the 2nd lowest FWAR among the top 10 of lowest WRC plus.
Okay, so blend of WAR and offensive output.
Yeah. Exactly. So just from 2022 to now, if we're just looking at FWAR, he's actually the 8th lowest. and then again tied for 7th.
Who are the guys below him?
You got this sucks. I don't want to read these names out.
No, let's do it.
Miguel Cabrera is number 1.
Well,
lowest
yeah,
F4.
I mean, he's a
Harold
liability.
Harold Castro,
Okay.
Jared Walsh,
Okay.
Harris Montero, Martin Maldonado, Cole Calhoun, Franmil Reyes, then Avisail Garcia.
Yeah, so one of them was making noticeably more money than the others.
Yeah. And to your point, just about Maldonado in terms of his availability, he played 105 more games in that span than Avisail Garcia, and Maldonado is a catcher. That just goes to show, like, wasn't on the field, was not good when he was on the field, and unfortunately, the Marlins said, we're getting rid of you. And it sucks because, like I said, he seems like a good guy. Hopefully, he finds another landing spot. We talked about Victor Robles, a couple shows ago. He really struggled. DFA by the Nationals, immediately picked up by the Mariners. Maybe a change of scenery will do because, like we said, Avisail Garcia was a solid hitter in Milwaukee. Maybe just find some new footing somewhere else.